Hi guys, it's Mary Jo from Mary Jo's Ooh, Mary Jo from Mary Jo's Creations. How y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. It is Saturday. Wow. My mind. It is Saturday the 18th. And this morning I was watching some YouTube videos. I still wasn't feeling too hot, but I made 2 more squares. So, we only need 1 more square to finish these sets of squares for this project. If y'all haven't been here, if you're new here and this is your first video, I am currently working on 3 projects because of course I am. I have a granny square blanket that I'm working on. And then I decided that I wanted to start a new cardigan. So we were trying to figure out how to do the flowers because I want to do like a granny square, close to like a sunflower granny square cardigan that's going to be sunflower squares and these squares. And I was trying to figure out how to make the sunflower square. And if you don't know, I have severe ADHD and dyslexia. So it's hard for me to read patterns, not read them, understand them. And it's hard for me to understand certain tutorials. I get confused. And I was trying to do, I tried again to figure out how to do a sunflower granny square. And I was watching a tutorial, which one, I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I have no freaking idea. But I couldn't get it. So I was like, I'm just going to figure out how to make one myself and see if it comes out and if it looks right. And if it doesn't, then it is what it is. So I spent almost an entire day trying to figure out how to make a sunflower granny square. And bear with me. I made a few different ones until I finally figured out how to make the sunflower round turn into an actual square without it looking all wonky. Now, that being said, I had about 3 granny squares that I made before I finally figured it out. I don't want to take those apart. So what I'm going to do is, of course, me being me, I'm going to use those granny squares to do something different. So I'm going to have to make more granny squares for that. But before we start those granny squares, we need to finish the granny squares for this and the granny squares for the blanket. Now, as far as I know, I just finished counting. There are 12 squares left for the blanket. There's only 1 square left for this. So we are going to finish this square. And once we finish this square, we're going to see how many more of the other granny squares we can get done. And I also am working on a shawl. Now, the shawl is actually like my travel project at the moment because I have been going to a lot of doctor's appointments. And this week, I believe I have 2. coming up. So I will be taking that project with me. That I really have not worked on unless I've been out. I went to the doctor this past week, and I did quite a chunk of it. I think I got like 6 rounds done. And it's coming along, but that is just a one skein project. And by that, I mean that I'm just working off of one skein. The whole project isn't going to be just one skein. I do have 3 skeins of that colorway. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to use all 3 skeins, but when I mean one skein, I mean like, it's not like these granny squares where it's multiple skeins that I'm using just for one square. So when I'm making projects like this, I don't take those out of the house. Unless like I'm going to my friend's house, then I will take them because I'm in a house. But to be out and about, like going to doctor's appointments or something like that, I won't take a project that has more than one skein because it's just too much. And then having to cut the yarn off, it's just a project that's easier done at home. And so that project is one that I'm working on. It's not anything that's a rush, that I'm rushing to finish. Once I start, okay, I just like, my brain just froze. It's not something that I'm rushing to finish. However, once I get all these squares done and I'll be attaching them, that's like the part that sometimes I slow down on, because as they start getting attached, they start getting bigger. And this one, once it's attached, I have the sleeves. And then once I attach all the squares to the blanket, I'm going to have to do the border. So when I have big projects like this, I like to have something smaller that's just, easier to do in case I need a break from something big like that. And that's what that shawl is for. So that'll probably, all end up getting done around the same time. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that makes sense to my brain. But once I start making all of these, once I finish making all of these squares, this one and the ones for the blanket, in between starting to connect them, I also do want to finish the squares for the other project that I'm making, which is going to be a surprise, because honestly at this point it's a little bit of a surprise for me too, because I'm still not sure. I mean, I know what I want to make, I just don't even know what you would call it, but we'll figure that out. And I think for that one I'm going to need 14 squares, I think I landed on, and I have 3 fully finished. I think it's supposed to be 4 no. Is it 6 sunflower squares and 4? I forget what I landed on. Because there are going to be sunflower squares and regular granny squares like this mixed together. Just like this patchwork cardigan, but it's going to be a little bit different. And like I said, for that one, I need 14 squares. So, I'm trying to think. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it would be probably 6 of the flowers, and I don't know if it's going to be 6 flowers and 8 regular granny squares, or if it's going to be the other way around. But we are not going to worry about that until all of these squares are done. And when I start attaching them, that's when I will figure out the other ones, because I'm going to need a break in between attaching all of these squares. And since they're all different projects, they're going to be like in different stages, which is good because I can bounce around from project to project, which for the way my brain works is the best way for me. I also do have other whips that I want to finish that I stopped because of, like I wanted to get this blanket done. Now, I know that I impeded, I could have probably had the blanket done already, but the blanket was getting a little bit too much for me. I had to step away from the blanket, but not step away. So I was still working on the blanket, but in between, I was working on these squares. And it just helped me because the blanket, I'm doing it from scrap yarn, if you don't know. And there's a few videos, you can go back and look at those if you'd like. But it's all scrap yarn. And it was starting to drive me a little bit crazy, trying to figure out what colors to put where. And I just needed to take a step back and work on it, but not work on it consistently, to give myself a breather and to refocus. And that's when I started doing this. And then I needed a project to take to the doctor's office with me. That's why I started working on the shawl. Now, I do have a basket that needs to be finished from when I was making baskets for Easter. Although I don't believe I'm going to be putting a handle on that like I did the Easter baskets. And you can check out that video as well. So that one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to make it like an actual basket with like the handle that's crocheted into it. If you know what I mean, and if not, you'll see when I do it. I do have to finish that basket, and that basket is more than halfway done. I just need to build up the basket itself. And I want to get to that sometime this upcoming week because it's almost finished. But that also is hard on my hands because it's being done with double-stranded. It is acrylic, so it's not that bad, but it is double-stranded. And it's a little bit hard on my hands. So I needed also a break from that. And I think there's a few more whips that I have. Not many. I think I did knock them down a bit that I had carried over. And I do want to get those finished too. But before I can think about any of that, I really do want to get all these squares done, because that's the hardest part of doing these projects that have squares. Even though it's hard putting them together and, then having to do like borders or trims or sleeves, whether it's a blanket or a cardigan, the hardest part is getting all the squares done, especially when you have a lot to do, like the blanket, which is 36 squares, 35 squares. Yeah, 35 squares. And I was also thinking, for for the size that I want to make it, because I want that to be the main blanket on my bed, for the size that I want to make it, I'm not sure if 35 squares is going to be enough. Even though the squares are a lot bigger than the blanket that I already have on my bed, the, what I call my fancy blanket, I do have that on my bed right now, but that looks like it would fit like a full-size bed. I have a queen-size bed. It doesn't go across the entire bed. And that's what I want this one to do. Now, this one is the same amount of squares, or the pink and purple blanket is the same amount of squares. They are bigger. The ones from my fancy blanket are, I believe, 7 rounds. It still, you know, isn't big enough to cover my bed. So I decided I wanted to make bigger squares. Now, this is my third my fourth, because I have one that's more like a lap blanket. It was also made out of scrap, and it was also made for, like, you know, a kid can use it. So it wasn't very big. This is my fourth granny square blanket and my third big blanket. So the first one I ever made was my Vlogmas blanket. And you can always watch Vlogmas if you want to see me make that blanket. And that was, I guess, the regular size. I think there are 5 rounds, but there were 50 squares. So it was a challenge, which I want to make this year again, but I might actually make them a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But it's 2 squares a day that I make for the blanket. Every day on Vlogmas, I made 2 squares. Well, most of the time. But that's something I also want to do for this Vlogmas is, you know, I am accumulating some scrap right now. I am using some, but I am still accumulating others. And we are going to be making another one. But this one, I had a lot of pink left over from my Valentine's Day challenge. And if you haven't seen that one, I did make a bunch of granny squares because I made a granny square cardigan. And I made a bunch of things in pink. I made a tote bag. I made a sweater. And I just had a bunch of pinks, reds, white, and I did have some purple left over from a sweater that I did for my birthday, which is right before Valentine's Day, kind of. And I just had a lot of those laying around, and I kind of didn't want to put them into my scrap for Christmas. I kind of wanted to use them because the 2 main blankets that I can use for my bed were all very, like, dark colors, right? The scraps from the Vlogmas blanket, those were more darker tones. And not only that, I did the border in black. And with my fancy blanket, I also did the border in black. So I wanted to have a lighter blanket that, number 1, would fit my bed completely, and number 2, I can use it now for the summer. And my favorite color is purple and black, but I love purple. And I'm not a big fan of pink, but if it's mixed with purples, I'm okay with it. And so I decided to make the blanket in all those colors. And it's just going to be my scrappy, you know what? Let's call it my scrappy love blanket. And I can't wait to get it finished. But because the squares are so big, and there are a lot of them, it's just been taking me a minute. And like I was saying, I don't know if the squares that I have are going to be big enough. Wow. I don't know if the squares that I have are going to be enough to make it as big as I want it to cover my bed. So, what we are going to do is we're going to finish the squares that are the centers, most of them, not most of them, all of them that are left are already started. Some of them have 2 rounds of color, some of them have 3 rounds of color. They're very close to being finished, so they shouldn't take very long to finish them all because some only need, 3 or 4 rounds. And it shouldn't take very long to finish the ones that are left. Once I finish all of them, I'm going to lay them all out on my bed. I'm going to take everything off of my bed and just lay them all out on my bed and see if they're going to be enough. Now, keep in mind that once I lay them out, that's not going to be the final size because I am doing a join as you go, which number 1 makes it bigger, and then I'm going to be putting a border on it, which is also going to make it about 1 inch bigger all the way around. That being said, I want to make sure that I have enough squares that are going to cover it. And I was thinking earlier, and I know I said it in one of my videos, that I think I might have to do another row of 7. So if you don't know, and if you haven't watched those videos, I'm doing 5 across and 7 down. Now, I don't want to go down anymore. I don't think I need to make it longer. So doing 5 more squares to add to the bottom, I think is not going to be what I want. What I want to do is make it, most likely what I'm going to need to do is make it wider. And for that, I would need to go 7 more on the side to make it wider. And obviously, a lot of the pinks that I used in the beginning are all gone. That was the whole point of doing this, to get all those scraps done, because again, I'm not a big fan of pink. So I want to save as many scraps as I can for Vlogmas, but to be quite honest with you, I'm okay if there's no pink in there. So I wanted to just use the pinks all together. I'm okay with like burgundies, reds, purples, greens, whatever other colors that I have. But I really kind of didn't want to put pink in it, so I'm okay with having one blanket with just pinks and purples, and that's what I decided to do. So a lot of the pinks that I had, they're all gone. The only thing that I'm left with right now, as far as scraps go, because I unfortunately am running out of my purples too, which is sad, because I can't buy yarn. Unfortunately, I am not in the position where I can buy yarn right now, and I don't know when I'll be able to buy yarn. So the only yarn I have left is yarn that a friend of mine was very kind enough to buy me a ton of yarn because I couldn't afford it. So she went on a yarn shopping spree. She took me on one that I wasn't aware of. And I got a lot of yarn. And so I have to use the colors that are available to me. And unfortunately, I don't know if I have a lot of purple left. So I'm just trying to use the colors that I have. And the purples that I do have enough of, those are going to be used for the border, which in a blanket this size, I might need 2 full skeins, if not more, to do the border, which is going to be a simple border. It's just going to be half double crochets, probably like 3 rounds, and then end it with a round of single crochet. But right now, the scraps that we have left, the skeins that we have left of the scraps are hot pink, and 2 purples. Now, I did have extra, of red and white. And a different purple. So I did grab extra skeins and hot pink to finish off these squares that were already started, because I didn't have enough. And we're going to finish those. And after I lay them out, if I do need an extra set of 7 squares, they're going to be majority of those, not majority, all of those squares are going to only be red, hot pink, white, and a bunch of purples, because all of the other pinks are gone. But we're going to mix them all around, so you're really not going to notice it. And I'm done with the square. It took me 20 minutes. Awesome. Hold on. Okay. So all the squares for my cardigan are done. We just have to weave in the ends. And we will get to that probably tonight. But I do want to knock out some granny squares. I'm probably going to need to take a small little break, because my legs are numb. And for those of you who are new here, I have widespread fibromyalgia. So I can't sit for too long and crochet or anything really, because of the pain. But anyway, these are all finished. I am so happy. I'm so proud of myself. All the squares for the cardigan are done. We can take the yellow. Now, I don't think I'm going to be using this yellow for this. This is going to go into the scrap and pile of yarn that I have in my workroom, which I need to go in there and clean. I was moving it around a little bit and organizing it. Have more room to put yarn and all my finished projects. Wow. And I've explained that, but anyway, this will go there. But hold on. Okay, so I just realized that I'm not putting that away because I need to finish these squares for that other project, and I'm going to need that. But I just wanted to show you all the squares are done. I'm so proud of myself. Okay. We just need to weave in these ends, which we're going to do before we attach it, because I don't like attaching anything with ends all over the place. So that has to be done at some point today. But all of the squares are done. Here. These are the flower squares. I don't know if you can tell that's a sunflower, but that's the best that I could do at the moment. And then we have the regular squares. And there they are. So in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because it's going to be, they're going to be connected into like a long strip. And it's going to be 5 in each one. And then they're going to be sewn together. So we are going to use this to join them, and then brown to do the border and the sleeves. And I think it's going to be a darker brown, not this brown, not the brown that's in the center, not this brown. It's a darker brown. I believe it's called toffee. But this is ready to go. All we need to do on this is join them together and then put them together, you know, form the cardigan. But the main objective for the next 2 days, which is today and tomorrow being Sunday, is to get all these granny squares done. Once I have all the granny squares done for the blanket and the other thing that I'm making, then we can work on putting them all together and doing whatever we have to finish off the projects. But the main objective is going to be to get all these squares done this weekend. As many as I possibly can, and hopefully all of them. So I'm going to go take a quick break, and then I will be back, and we will start on the squares, finishing up the squares for the blanket. That's my main objective for today. And once, hopefully, if I get all 12 squares, because there's 12 left, if I get all 12 squares done, we're going to clear off my bed, because I have a lot of pillows on my bed. We're going to clear off the bed, and we're going to lay out all the squares on the bed to see if we have enough or if we need to make 7 more. Because again, I think the length will be fine. It's the width that I'm worried about. But we are going to take a quick little break, and then after that, I will come back and we will start on these. And again, I don't think these will take me very long, because a lot of them are more than halfway done. And I'm not going to worry too much about picking the colors. We're down to a very small amount of colors to choose from. So it's just going to be whatever I feel I'm going to grab, I'm going to tie on. As long as it's not a color that's already in the square, we're fine. And we're going to just get one square done after the other. If you did watch the previous videos when I was making the squares originally for the blanket, I was doing them in batches. Like, I would do the first round, like one color, then another color, then another color. We're not doing that now. It's getting to a point where there's very little color left, and colors to choose from left. And there's, like, I'm just going to make the entire square. But yeah, that's what we're going to do today. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have all the squares done today for the blanket. I don't think we can get the other squares done for maybe like the actual squares. Although I gotta say, now that I have a handle on how I made my flower square, they're much easier now. I know how they go. So I finished the last of them yesterday of the flowers. So now that I know how to do them, it's pretty quick. That's the plan for today. So I will be right back. Okay. So I'm back. I had to step out. I really do need to eat something. But I don't know what I want to eat yet. So I thought that I would sit here and make a square before and think about what I want to eat before, I go eat. So we are... Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm watching Teen Wolf. The movie. I love it. But anyway, I'm working on this square. This is my first granny square for the blanket of the day. And this one, I believe we are going to do this light purple and then finish it off with the hot pink. Now, I will show you the squares that I have. They're all laid out on my bed in piles. Because now I'm not really worried about the centers of the squares. I'm more worried about what colors are going to be on the outside. Because, I want to have somewhat of an even amount of squares with the same outside color and not have too much of one or the other. Now, some of them are only going to be able to be four or I think one of the colors that I used for the outside, it's only 2. And then I know that one is 4, but that's because I don't have that color yarn anymore. Those were part of the pinks that I didn't have a lot left of. And some got outside, some didn't. But, right now we're trying to focus on the colors that we do have and make them as even as possible. Now, you know what? I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you. Here, let me show you. All right. So this is hot pink, and we have 1, 2, 3. We have 5 of these. That's why we're making one more right now with hot pink. And then these are the ones where they're like pink on the outside. There's 2 different shades. This one here is lighter than this one, although on the camera you really can't tell. But we have no more of this, so that's why that's all the way in the back. And then we do have this purple left, and in this purple, I think we have 4 squares. So we're going to do 2 more to make it 6. So there's going to be 6 of the hot pink, 6 of this purple. The white we have 4. We're going to do 6 of these. This red we have 3. We're going to do 2 more of these, which is going to be 5. And then we have this dark purple. Sorry, the light is not that great. But we have this beautiful dark purple. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to have 6 of these. So the red is the only one that's really going to have 5 colors. 5 borders. Hold on. Okay, so I did go and check. I do not have any more pinks, so except for hot pink. So the only colors that we have are these. Now, if I do I'm trying to see. This is the only, I believe this purple is the only of this color that I have left. I do have a lot of this, which let me see here, the light, you could see. So if I do another 6 squares, 7 squares, 7 squares. I don't know what color I would do the outsides. Because then this would become 5, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure what... I mean, I know we would be able to get another one of these, and then we would have 6 squares left. So right now, this is the only one that's not 6. We can do another 2 squares in certain colors. And what I'm thinking of to do the join as you go, it would probably, it's a, well, let me just, okay, here. These are the ones that need the most of. This just needs 2 more squares with the border in red. This needs 2 more squares with the border in white. And this one needs 2 more squares with the border in this purple. Everything else, the other 2 squares, which are that set and that set, all have 6 squares. And that's how we have it now. So each one will have 6 except for the red, which will only have 5 borders. Now, if I do again, let me turn you over. Hold on. I can never figure out how to do this. Okay. So, in order to, if I'm going to make that extra set of 7 squares, then still not going to have an even amount of squares with the center, right? And that's what I'm trying to figure out, because then we can definitely make the red into 6. And then we have, into a stack of 6. And then we'll have 6 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we only have 5 different outsides. So what we can do is maybe make like the colors that I like the most, which would probably be the 2 purples and actually, yeah, the 2 purples and maybe the hot pink or the white. Now, what we're going to connect the squares with, I honestly have no idea. Because the only colors that I have enough of and I don't want, I don't want the squares are going to be connected in one color and the border is going to be in another color, right? So I don't want them to be the same color. The only colors that I have enough of to join and then do the border would be this purple, hot pink, red or white. Now, do I want red? No. Do I want white? No. So we're left with the hot pink, this purple, and the dark purple. Now, I would really like a color that isn't on the outside, but we don't have that option to connect it. So we're going to have one of the outside colors connecting it, which is just going to make it bigger, which is going to be fine because it's going to be like 2 rounds, right? Or 3 rounds or whatever. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But I'm trying to decide on whether or not I want to connect it with the pink, the hot pink, or the dark purple. And then do the border in this light purple. That's what I'm thinking. Because I really don't want to connect it in white. I mean, like, I already used white more than I like to because white does tend to get dirty. And I'm very clumsy. And even though it's going to be on my bed and I don't get anywhere near my bed with food or with, you know, any kind of drink, I still don't want too much white in the blanket. There's already enough white in the blanket. And those squares I might put in the middle. Like, you know, configure them towards the center of the blanket so they're not on the outside. And I would really like to do the outline in purple, the border, which would be 2 rows of maybe 3 to 4 rounds of half double crochets, and then 1 single round of single crochet all around the entire blanket. And now that I'm thinking about it, I want that to be a different color. So maybe, because I gotta tell you, I kind of really do like the hot pink for some reason. So what do you think of this? We can join all the squares in hot pink, right? And we can actually have like the hot pink squares towards the inside of the blanket. Maybe. But we can join them all in hot pink. Do the half double crochet border in the dark pink, and then do the single crochet in the light pink. Or we can do the light, attach it all with the light pink. I mean, purple, Mary Jo. We can do the join as you go with the purple, the light purple. I think this is periwinkle. And do the half double crochet border in the dark purple, and then do the single crochet outline in the light purple. Those are the only combinations that I could think of, because it's the only yarn that I have enough of, because I don't want to use red and I don't want to use white. So let me know what you think. I think that maybe the way to go, because there already is so much pink in this blanket, which, again, I'm not a huge fan of. Although I do like the lighter shades of pink. You know, like this dusty rose, and it's not bad. The squares are looking gorgeous. I love them. I just don't think I want pink, connecting them, surrounding them, because I think that would just be, there's already a lot of pink. Because the purple, there's not as much purple as you think, because I try to use up more of the pink. So there's a lot of pink squares. There's squares that have pink squares that have no purple in them at all. And I think that maybe connecting them with the periwinkle. This is periwinkle, right? This game's almost finished. No, lilac. Sorry, periwinkle is blue. I'm losing my mind, y'all. Lilac. This is lilac. So I think that that might be the way to go. Do the outline in lilac. And then, do the join as you go in lilac. Then do the actual border, half double crochet border in the dark purple. And then do the single crochet outline in the lilac again. And I think that's pretty much the best option. And honestly, at this point, I can't even, think straight. I think I'm getting hungry now, but I still don't know what I want to eat. Yeah, this lilac is just about done. We should be finishing this one up soon. I gotta tell you, this month, I'm gonna have a lot of yarn used. There's gonna be a lot of yarn used this month. Okay. So right now we're going to do the hot pink. And I think that that'll be it for the hot pink on the outside. There might be some squares where I use hot pink on the inside, but if there are, there's not going to be many. Okay. All right. And I think I'm going to finish this square. And when I'm done with this square, I think I'm going to make myself something to eat. Oh, you know what? Maybe a tuna sandwich with some steak fries. That might be it. I have some lettuce. And that would be nice. Yo, I don't know why my nose has been so itchy lately. But anyway, I'm just going to finish this square, and then I think, like I said, I'm going to take a break and go make myself a tuna sandwich and some French fries. I do have steak fries in the freezer. Maybe make some steak fries. And that will be... Now, do I want a regular tuna sandwich or do I want a tuna melt? I do like me a good tuna melt. And then make a salad on the side. Sorry, y'all. I'm hungry. Now I'm getting hungry. And it's like, that's all I could think of now. But anyway. I know that sometimes I can be a little weird. That's just me. The more comfortable I get being, like doing these videos, the more of me is going to come out. And I can be a little on the eccentric side, some would say. Ooh, sorry. Wow. And some just call me weird or strange, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, I've noticed that the more comfortable I get talking to you guys, the more me comes out, and I can be a little chaotic at times. So, if you like the chaos, if you like the insanity, I never claim to be put together. I am a hot mess, and I have made that clear. I do not wear makeup. Mainly because I do have severe allergies. And, I'm constantly rubbing my face, whether it's rubbing my nose, which I don't know why it's so itchy, but, rubbing my eyes. So it's not was never a good idea, me wearing makeup. Also, it irritates my skin, and I have very sensitive skin. So I don't wear makeup. Very rarely. I mean, I tried at one point when I first started doing these videos. I tried doing my makeup, and I can't. I'm sorry, but I can't. It was really messing me up. And so I stopped doing it. I've never been much of a girly girl. And, I'm not coming on here to try and pretend to be something that I'm not. So I'm sorry, I'm usually in sweatpants or yoga pants, and I do not wear makeup, and my hair is usually either up or down. My hair is also very long, so, there is a lot I could do with it, but in the same token, sometimes I want my hair down. Having my hair up for too long hurts my head. So I don't really style my hair unless I'm going out, which hasn't happened in a very long time. But I'm just very simple. I'm very simple. I like sweatpants, tank tops, and, I do like to get dressed up, but unfortunately, I haven't had an occasion in a while. But I'm just a very simple person, and I'm a very simple girl. And, you know, I'm not going to come on here and try to pretend to be something that I'm not. Uh, I am a bit of a hot mess. And what you see is really what you get. And again, I think that the longer I keep making these videos, the more me will come out. And I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest. But I hope you like it, and I hope you stick around. I am a bit chaotic. I try to be organized. I try to do things, you know, try to be structured when it comes to the videos and stuff like that. And that hasn't worked for me. So, you know, I'm just going to be me. And if y'all want to still come up and watch, that is so awesome and so wonderful. And I would love to share with you. But if you, you know, don't like these kinds of videos, I understand, you know. But from now on, I'm just going to be crazy old chaotic me. And we're just going to do whatever comes into my mind. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have some videos that are kind of structured. I'm still going to like do some of those, but because there are things that I want to do. Like I love doing Vlogmas, and in July, I'm going to be crocheting Christmas items and just like little things like that. Maybe a few challenges here and there, especially like for Halloween and Christmas and holidays and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just going to be kind of like a day-to-day, because I crochet every day. And although I would love to make this into a business, I'm going to crochet either way, because that's what keeps me as, I don't know if it's saying much, but as sane as I am. Oh, crocheting helps me keep what's left of my sanity. And making pretty things for me, and hopefully someday for all of you. You know, I do put stuff up on my website. I don't think it's working at this very moment, because honestly, I wasn't able to make the payment this month, but hopefully we will get it back on track next month. And, you know, hopefully some of you will want to buy some of my pretty things. I do have to work on it and get like a custom setting going, but regardless, either way, I'm still going to be crocheting every day. Whatever I want to crochet. If I want to make myself a cardigan, I'm going to make a cardigan. If I want to make a poncho, I'm going to make a poncho. You know, we are going to go through the stuff that I already made, because I want to perfect my patterns. And in order to do that, guess what? I have to crochet. So we are going to be crocheting every day, and I might as well just bring you along for the ride. And that's the plan. And there are a little few special videos that are going to be thrown in there. Like, you know, every once in a while, like how many labels I used in the month, what I've made in the month. You know, I do have to go over my Pico card, because I still am doing that. I just, because of, you know, me being sick because of my thyroids and everything, I'm slowly getting back to me. I'm slowly starting to feel better. And hopefully, we will be okay in the upcoming months, and it'll be a lot easier for me to crochet more, because when I was having those really bad episodes right before I started taking my thyroid medication again, it was bad. And I'm just pushing through. And I've noticed that I am starting to speed up again on, like my hands are starting to work a little bit better, although today I don't know what the hell's going on. But, and like during Vlogmas and when I started crocheting, period, I was always able to crochet about an hour and a half at a time. Then I have to take a break. I can't do more than that, unfortunately, because of the fibromyalgia. The pain starts coming back, and I can't crochet for more than an hour and a half. On a really good day, when I first started crocheting, I probably was able to crochet for maybe 2 hours. That was stretching it. And then I have to take a break. And sometimes I can only crochet 3 or 4 times a day, depending on how I feel. But these last few months, there were days where I was lucky if I could crochet for about half an hour. And now I'm getting back to, maybe I can sit here for about 45 minutes to an hour. Some days maybe more, some days maybe less. It all depends. I think I'm on row 9. I think I'm almost done with this square. And then we're going to take a break, because it's already been 24 minutes. But today I'm hoping that I can, knock out a few squares at a time, and maybe be able to sit here like 3 or 4 different times to get these squares done. And I would be really happy if I can get all these granny squares for this blanket done today and lay them out, so I know whether or not I have to make more. And then if I don't, tomorrow I would like to work on the squares for that other thing that I'm making. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another square down. Only 11 more to go. But that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to stop here. See, and like when I do squares my way, which is like this, and I tie on the yarn wherever I want to, I only have 2 ends to weave in. That's it. Unlike those squares that I have all those ends. I want to cry. But I'm thinking that I'm going to keep going till about maybe 7 o'clock or so, making squares. And then maybe for the rest of the night, instead of making squares, one of the times that I sit down, I can just weave in as many ends as possible. And we'll just go from there. It would be awesome if I could get all the squares done. And then, tomorrow, weave in ends and do these squares. But we'll see. I'm going to go get something to eat, and I'll be back in just a second. Hey guys. So, it is late. It is either midnight or just past midnight. Now, I honestly don't remember what was the last square that I showed you, but I have been working throughout the day, and I think I did quite a bit. I'm not sure how many I have left. I think I might have 7 left. But I'll let you know in just a moment. I'm going to show you what I did today. So as we know, I finished the 3 squares of these, right? 1, 2, 3. These are all finished. So as soon as I get the rest of these squares done, we're going to start focusing on attaching everything. Probably starting with the cardigan because it's faster to attach it, and then as I'm attaching the blanket, I can do the sleeves on the cardigan. But anyway, these are the squares, and they're in no particular order, although I think they're like the last one till the first one in reverse, you know. So this was the last one I finished, I'm sure of it. But we have this square, this one, that's 2, here's 3, here's 4, and here's a 5. So in total, 5, 6, 7, 8. We did 8 squares today, which I think is very good. I think that's pretty good. They're 9 rounds. I mean, obviously, they were started already. The majority was anywhere from 4 to 6 rounds done. So anywhere from 4 to 5 rounds added on each one, and they're bigger, so it's probably the same amount of time. But altogether, we did 8 squares. Now, in the pink ones, for the love blanket, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we have 7 left. And I'm sure that if I got these done today, I can definitely finish the 7 tomorrow. And, well, technically we finished these yesterday. And today we can finish those. But anyway, yeah, so I think that we can definitely finish the squares for the love blanket tomorrow, later. We'll just say later. And if we finish them rather quickly, because, you know, every day it depends on how I feel. Today was a so-so day. That's why I think I got a lot more done, because within the last few weeks, I was lucky if I could get 2 or 3 done. That's just how bad my pain was. But I think we did pretty good today. And if, you know, depending on how I feel. Now, if I'm not mistaken, some of these squares are a little bit smaller. Like, only have maybe 4 rounds in them. So they might take a little bit longer, but I'm pretty sure that the rest of the 7 squares we can get finished. And I'm hoping that we can, you know, finish these rounds as well. And maybe get started on whatever squares we need for the other granny square project that I'm doing. If I'm not mistaken, we have 3 full flower squares. Let me see, hold on. Actually, I gotta redo this because this is, that's changed. I gotta get it out of, I was doing it, I always like, if it's something especially like granny squares, or in the round or whatever, I just tend to jot down on this until I figure it out. But I believe we have 3 and we need 14. So that means that we need 11 more squares. But if I'm not mistaken, it was what? 6, I think. I can't. I'm sorry. I am so tired. I can't even think straight. I shouldn't even be allowed to be doing this right now. 6 and 6 is 12, right? So it should be 8 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to need 1 more of these and 3 more flowers, and then the 8 squares are going to be actual granny squares, like this kind of. But we're doing it my way, which, you know, it ends up looking like this. But that's later, and I think that, you know, they shouldn't take very long. So we will figure that out in the morning. I just wanted to show you these so that I can put them with the rest of them and not have to figure out in the morning which ones I made today. Because I know I didn't show you, again, I don't know what was the last square I showed you, but I know there has to be at least maybe 2 that I didn't film. I don't know. But I was just working in sorry. Because, you know, like, I would sit down, do one, and then get up and do something, because I can't sit here for very long between my leg and my back. It just wasn't happening. So I would work on one, I would get up, do something, then sit down, work on another one, then get up, and it just, you know, take a break and take something for my pain, and then it was just like that way. So I honestly would forget to turn on the camera, or my phone, really. But I'm tired. I kind of burned my fingers on a pot yesterday, and they're bothering me a little bit. I'm always burning myself or cutting myself in the kitchen. I have scars all over my hands, but that's okay. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep, and I will see y'all in the morning. But for you, it'll be just a second. I'll be back, guys. Good morning. Hey, everybody. All right, so this is going to be, it is the next morning. I'm sorry I was so tired last night. I was like half asleep. I was exhausted. I wasn't half asleep. I was half asleep once I finished these squares, but I just wanted to come on and do my outro because I wasn't thinking straight last night. I was exhausted. But that being said, before I went to sleep, I did some centers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centers that I did last night before I went to sleep. And I have to do 3 more today. But that's going to be the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. And y'all don't know how much you mean to me, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video, and we are going to keep making squares today and hopefully finish all of the squares for all of the projects, so that this week coming, oh, sorry, this week that's coming, all we have to do is put the projects together, and hopefully we can get all these projects done before the end of the week and have the blanket, the cardigan, the surprise project, maybe some baskets, maybe, you know, because I got to finish those baskets, maybe the shawl, who knows. But this week we are just going to keep working and keep trying to get all of these whips down. But I will see y'all in the next one. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot. And if you do like me and you want to keep watching me, and you want to know when I post, wow, that was a mouthful. Hit that little bell and it'll let you know when I'm on. And hit the like button if you like this video. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I believe Threads. It should be down in the description. But I will start posting more there. But again, that will be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back to see what happens today. See y'all later. Bye, guys.